Hi, my name is Thomas Middledorp, and this is Cold Logic Development Log number 7. Back on schedule, more or less. This week I have started trying to tie things together a little bit. So far, up until now, I've kind of just been tinkering on random systems one at a time, and generally not actually finishing them because I just kind of want to, see if I can make them work at all and see how they feel and look and so on. And then I've moved on to the next thing, and now I'm trying to figure out, okay, what do I actually need to, what do I still need to be able to glue all of this together into something that could be recognized as a game. So I've started trying to do some of that. It's a bit like, when you're working on a like a painting or a sculpture or something like that, you don't want to get too fixated on one specific part of it, and trying to put all the detail into that until you've got kind of the whole picture, or the whole piece, into some kind of state that you can see where everything's going to be and how it'll all relate to all of the other pieces and so on. So before I get too hyper-focused on any one thing, I kind of want to start tying it all together and see what works and what doesn't work, and then keep finishing things off after that. So for a start, there's now a little sort of intro thing that happens when you start a new game. This all kind of ties into the story behind Cold Logic, which I'm not really going to start going into yet. But the short version is that thing was some kind of a boot up sequence. You start off in some kind of a pod thing, and then you can go from there. I've hooked up these doorways to go to the other areas, just as, these aren't going to be sort of the final areas or anything, but you will start in some sort of a room that you wake up in, and then there'll be ways that you can go. This one currently just goes to the repair shop that I showed off in a previous video with my sort of in-progress inventory system and so on, and the hoist. You can go back through to here. Currently this doesn't actually put you back at the door you'd expect here, because I haven't hooked up the save manager to the area transition yet. Once I've hooked that up, then it will actually be able to tell, oh, you've come from that area, so I should put you here instead. Similarly, you can exit out of this one to go to this original area with the little bunker. I've just kind of slapped that door on the side of there just for convenience at the moment. It doesn't really make any sense for it to go into there. And before I look at him again, to complete the sort of game cycle, the player can now die. And when the player dies, it goes through this sort of sequence again, and you wind up back at a pod. You'll end up at a different pod once I've finished implementing that. But, so the idea is if you die, you end up, you respawn in that way. Hopefully players won't die too much. It's not intended to be, like the deaths, obviously this is all still pending a lot of playtesting and actually finishing developing it and so on, but the intention is that deaths are less frequent than, I don't know, something like a Souls game where you're kind of expecting to die frequently and repeatedly. But death is also not permanent, so it's not a full-on, hardcore permadeath thing. Yes, I mentioned this guy. He now will actually follow you around. I do need to sort of tweak his AI a little bit more so that he doesn't go back into the standing stance quite so often. Like, if you go around, he'll kind of he shifts into standing stance in between turning and walking a bit too much. He's not really meant to do that. But it's, yeah, I haven't really fixed up his AI at all yet. And if you watch his feet closely, he does actually kind of, shift his weight from one foot to the other, and one of his feet stays planted while he sort of rotates on his knees and hips to actually turn to face you. I'm probably also going to make it so that he can track slightly as he's walking, rather than having to only be able to turn while he's standing in place, just to kind of make him a little bit more agile that way. But he's not going to, I don't think he's going to be able to run. He's going to be a sort of fairly slow-moving adversary. He's also meant to be, like, a little bit uncanny valley, which is why his head can rotate right the way around and just track you. So hopefully, I mean, obviously he needs an actual, proper model, but the idea is he should be at least a little bit creepy. And I have one of these now, but it doesn't do anything yet. I started implementing it and was like, oh look, I can, make a magazine for it, and it doesn't work properly yet. But then I started realizing, I actually need to start generalizing a bit more of this code. Like the magazine currently is just a copy paste of that one with some things tweaked a little bit, and really they should be they should share a lot more functionality than they currently do, so that when I add like a sniper rifle and whatever else, then that can also share it all. The semi-auto pistol was kind of the first semi-automatic weapon that I made, and so the code is all pretty specific to that, and now that I'm adding a second one, I need to start kind of making that code a bit more reusable. So that'll be one of the things that I work on soon, I think. But now that I have the ability to start a game and change areas, although needing to hook up the save system to it still, and the player can die and respawn and so on, it's starting to have more of the functionality that you'd expect from a game. Still needs well, it doesn't technically need a win condition, although I am intending for CodeLogic to have a kind of a conclusion to the adventure, I suppose you could call it. Not, I mean, I guess it's kind of a win condition, but that it also sort of goes into the story stuff, and I kind of want to avoid talking about the story too much in these devlogs, just because I want to keep something a bit of a surprise, I guess. But yeah, so robot's starting to shape up a little bit. He can at least follow you around. The player death works, respawning works, the save system works, although is not finished, and that I think currently only the pistol actually gets saved. I need to hook everything else up to also save in much the same way, which again is just going to be a matter of making sure that it's all general enough, and then slapping savers onto everything. And then I just need to keep making areas and adding stuff to areas and making them not just a flat bit of terrain with a bunch of trees on it and a random hill. Make it actually something interesting to explore and add things to find and all of that. Yeah. Oh yeah, he does actually kind of get stuck in funny poses sometimes. I think that you can even get him to... no. I have seen him get stuck doing a little dance sometimes. But, yeah, he's not doing it right now. Anyway, so... that's all kind of starting to shape up a bit. actually quite tired, so I'm rambling a bit. But yeah, you know, progress. Progress. Next week. Come back next week, there may be more progress. Thanks for watching. See you next time.